Well, hello everybody and happy Friday. Give a shout out, let me know that you're here and let me know that you can hear me. And we'll go ahead and say hi to folks in the chat. So the first one in getting the cookie is Lynn McCurdy. Welcome. Thanks for answering the question. Was hoping to have a little conversation about that, but maybe we'll make this show nice and short. Brad from Willow Creek, welcome. Hey, Randy, how's it going? Hey, Tim. Hi, Mom. Split Rock, you made it in. And Gopher Girl, you're here as well. Welcome all. Thanks, Lynn. Appreciate it. Let's get the nitty gritty out of the way and just say, here is the car you saw last week, and you can see I haven't done anything else on it. From last week that I dug into a new tool in a 3D printer. So I've been working with that, trying to figure my way with that, and trying to learn and print. And I did a lot of printing, and I've learned a lot so far and have far to go. But I was just so frustrated with the decaling and what was happening to the sides even after I coated them, that I basically focused on the 3D printing and put this away. So I do need to get back to it. I do have a target in March to get this and the cab car done for NMRA evaluation. So I need to get back to it, but part of that might be, might involve the 3D printing. So we will put this aside like I've done for a week or two here. The 3D printing, I've done quite a bit of that and trying to get the car body to work right and get it with the right measurements and everything. And I found out a couple things. One, you'll see here that none of the bolsters are lined up correctly. Yeah. So here is one of the actual underbodies. And then here are the three prints that I have. So this was the first one, and it actually turned out nice, except for some broken stuff, a broken side over here, and mismeasured. What I found out when I thought this was too thin, it's actually not, but the edges are rounded per the instructions, and I rounded them too much when I measured them out, and I think it was half a millimeter. I think it was 0.5 millimeters that I did. So it's hard to see on the white one. Probably help if I put a little more light on this. And then that's too much. So see if we can get that down. There we go. So I reduced the rounding to I think a 0.2 millimeters or 0.1 millimeter. So you can see that there. And then on this one as well, looks quite a bit thicker. Much more like this. So it's just slightly rounded. And this one's really interesting. This is the latest one I printed after I thought I got the measurements right on the bolsters. And a couple things with this. I set the printing to a really fine print, and you can see here that the print head did different directions. So it was going like cross stitch and then up and down and cross stitching up and down throughout this, and it created this weird thing. And I saw this when I was slicing the print, and I wasn't sure if that's how it would actually print out, and it surely did. So that's a learning thing that I got to figure out, and why it did that, and what is it about the, why did these not do that, and what maybe I did something when I was working with getting these to be able to move these. I didn't build them the way you would build them, and so they weren't really moving. So I think it maybe was something I did, because when I got these moved, there was a space where these were. So there was a space right in here. And so when I was trying to fix that, I might have done this. So I got to figure out what I did, or I have to start from the beginning again. The other frustrating thing is, if you look at this side compared to this one or this one, hey, Dundas Junction, welcome, James. Nice to see you in here. So I'll go grab your channel, James, and we'll throw it up there. But didn't you just put out some videos, like 2 or 3 videos that I have to catch up on? So one of the things I've been struggling with figuring out is the supports, and it's like I got lucky with these or something, because the more you know, the harder this gets, apparently. So I can't get these off. This is so tight to this, and there's 2 types of supports. There's like these tree supports, and I think I did that on these. And if I'm looking at some of the imperfections in there, I think I did tree supports on those, and I think they work better. But these are impossible to get off, and I'm even as I get as low as I get on here, I still have this this layer on there that is kind of a mess. So it's just one of the many things that you have to learn with this. But my again, I think I have the measures right. I corrected these again, so I think I have them right. But I got to figure out what I did to create this mess, and so that'll be next up. In the meantime, I was just trying to print some different things that would just, see how things print and how they come out. And, I have the 2 filaments. So I have the PLA, which is generally the well-known one, the most used one. It's a little bit less tough than PETG. And that's what this one was in white. And this was on a couple of the different websites. This is just a HO scale metal shelving unit, and you can see how easy it is when it gets real fine. So pulling these off the printer, you have, the cross beams on here didn't survive on these 2. The other one I'm having trouble with is getting these to glue in place and to, fit in their holes. They seem to fit, but I haven't been able to get this to glue in place. I was using my 1, 2, 3 blocks to get everything square and even and supported, but it printed it, so I was pretty impressed with that. It looks like what a metal shelving unit would look like, and so that was something that I worked on. So let's see here. Let me pull that up. I promised I would. Let's see. So this is James's channel. So everybody should check his stuff out. He also is a weekly host for lives. It's you're gonna kill me if I get it wrong, but it's Mondays, right? That you switch off with Mike and do your live stream. All right. So some other things that I tried to do. So what I created in Onshape is the middle, the smaller air reservoir, and what I learned is there are limitations to, how small you can get on things. So this is how this one came out with the support on the bottom. That was all part of it. But we'll see if I can get it close. It didn't really come out. So it printed the holes on the ends. It printed generally the tube itself. If you look at it, I don't know if we can get a good shot of that. It is approximately that size, but the rings around it that hold it in place didn't print. And I think the size wise, they're 0.36 something millimeters. Well, the printer can't print that small. It's only successful with things that are a millimeter or more. Off Track Monday, that's right. And James, we need to connect because I've started a sticker board and I have my own stickers to trade with you and with anybody else. And I don't know, I'm not going to be able to put it on here, but it's started. And so I have a couple, even one from my Mount Models there. But I got to fill that thing up and so that I can show it. It's pretty pathetic right now. So you and I have to connect so that we can trade stickers. And I know you said you had some shirts out as well. No, Split Rock. I use Onshape, which is a level up from Tinkercad. I think, yeah. Well, it might even be cheaper for us to drive and meet somewhere than get things through the mail anyway. But yes. So yeah. So we looked at Tinkercad last week, and it's designed to be really user friendly. It's not designed to look like a CAD program, I think, and so that is something I started with, but I'm getting used to Onshape now, getting better at it. I don't have the technical expertise for it, that's for sure. So what it taught me is, with some things, they're just not going to be able to be printed, and I'm going to have to go back to creating that with styrene or other materials, and so I'll certainly do that. So I know that that's definitely not something I could do, even with the larger ones. Obviously, I could create the cylinder with the holes in it for the piping, but I'm not going to be able to design the rings because they're too small. So what else did I work on? So the that main unit in the middle, I worked on that, and what I wanted to do was design the holes, and I was actually going to string the wiring through it. So when building this, the direction was basically to drill 4 holes, 4 025 holes to take O2 wires, And so there's 4 wires that go on here. And so they're kind of plugged in. So what I actually attempted to do was make full holes, which I did for the 4 wires. But again, the program couldn't handle, I don't think you're going to be able to see that. It couldn't handle those tiny holes. So I don't even know which. I have printed a couple. On one of them, you almost could see markings, but you really can't. So in trying to build these out that way, that's another thing I won't be able to do. Yes, I could, build that and then have that, and that's fine and all, but I'm still going to have to drill some holes to connect the wires to make it look good. So another limitation. Then the other thing that I wanted to try and do is redo this with 3D printing. This, another one hard to see here, but I basically freehanded this, cutting this in styrene and coming up with a design. And it's hard to see here, but it's kind of separated when I glued it together, or this cover here didn't cover well, and it got the general shape of that. And so I set out, and it took about, I'd say I can print these on and on, and because I have them designed. But I went ahead and let's do it this way. Let's see if we can. There we go. So I designed this, and it is actually, this is the first one. I made one change to this, so not sure if you can see the one change, but I just changed where the pipe is for the sand to come out of to fit the car here. And to me, it looks smaller than what I built, but it's just about the right size. And it looks a lot better. And I don't remember. And so I went on, what I did was I sat there on YouTube, went and found the videos again of seeing the cab car run by, and paused it on there and designed it off of there in Onshape. And so I'm kind of psyched about this one because this actually worked. It looks good. Of course, it's in black because that's what I have. I have very little filament left. I have no white, none of the white left. And so I'm waiting to see if that is something that comes through the holidays. They, of course, like everything else, there are sales on filament and everything. But pretty excited about this one. So I may go ahead and completely remove this and add this on, because this is much nicer and much more representative of what it should be. I'm proud of the fact that I even got that together, even though it doesn't look great. It's still, I was pretty impressed that I did that. And so I continue to work with the program, and I was, I have a little bit of the black filament left. So I was doing, different designs and things. And I don't even know what to call this, but it was design in Onshape to put wording on here and have it indented. And you can see it's pretty much dented. This was like a draft copy, very rough, that it didn't even print the ends, because what they call the infill that I used was I was just experimenting with it, and it was a terrible failure. So I'll have to print out a better copy of that someday and see if it works, and hopefully do multiple colors on there so that you can actually see what it's supposed to say. But that's certainly um, what I've been doing. Um, so we were talking about it last week, Brad. Um, it, it depends on what you consider your skill range. I mean, it's a new skill to me too, and I'm not by any means good at it. I'm psyched that these really worked, but you know this is basically a rectangle with a little bit of ledge around it. And so if you get the basics and something like, if you want to start with something like Tinkercad, you're going to be able to make that very easily in Tinkercad. Um, and then, but you have to have patience and time to practice um, and sometimes I get a second wind at night and I'll spend an extra couple hours and like this one, to design this one was like 2 hours. It took me to sit there and look at the picture and then design it and fix it and everything. And um so yeah, it depends on how much time you can dedicate to it. And the other thing too is you want to look at, is filament printing right for you to start with, or is resin printing right for you to start with? um no, Mom, I haven't fixed the table. I haven't fixed the table, but I do want to show you. That reminds me. um so I talked about um trying like Z scale size track, and it's come out a little big, but I will be right back. Let me go grab that to show you. Actually, let me pull this up. I'll show you the table here. I wish something changed here, and I'm having trouble getting rid of the branding here. Um, to get rid of that piece there. But here's the table upside down. So on the chat, in the chat, was it last week or the week before, Mom, you basically challenged me to put together a train table and a model railroad in dollhouse scale. So this table is 4 inches by 8 inches, which is dollhouse scales are, the main one is 1 to 12 and 1 to 24 is the secondary one. So this is a 1 to 12 scale thing. And so I actually went out to the NMRA website and I used their specs to build this table, to build the underside, the metal, the wood framing, and the wood legs and everything. And one of the legs popped off. The other thing I did over here is I put a little ledge for a controller. So what I was thinking of for this, and for kind of the crowd that would like this, was then designing one of the controllers that you use for Lionel. And then I was looking at Lionel track. I don't know if I have it on here. Okay, we'll go through that. But whatever this connection is here is very weak and easy if you're handling it to break off. So I'll have to look at that. The other thing that you can do is have a stronger, this is PLA. I could move to PETG. It's a stronger filament, but there are things you can do where these connect to do that. And then there's actually a hole on where that ledge is, so that wiring can go through there. And then I put the holes in here so that you can put wiring through there if you have wiring for it. And then while we're here, let's take a look here. So this is the second attempt at printing the at least the first floor of that depot that I grabbed offline. Everything you see there are supports on the outside. And if you remember, let's go to this one. So the one on the right here is um, the um, that was the draft print that I did. And so it was very draft. And one of the things I figured out was those walls were really thin. So I went back into Onshape and I thickened the walls, and it came out really nice. So just look in here, and these supports for this one, it wasn't a struggle to get these supports off. These popped right out. They were kind of, I don't know, zigzagged in the windows, and they squeezed out very easily. These popped off with the base when I popped the base off. So when I get more colors and everything, I will print the rest of it and see if you remember, the deck and the stairs were terrible, and I'll have to figure that out. And so, but just wanted to show you the progress on that. That was nothing to do with the printer. First of all, this was a draft version. It wasn't meant to look really great. It was just meant to prove it out, and allowed me to make changes in Onshape. Here I am. Here's the latest one on the print bed, and you can see this. I didn't touch this coming off the printer. You can see how much extra of the stringing that was there with this, with the settings that I had. So we'll definitely have to adjust those. Here's some close-ups again of the pieces that we talked about, that I showed you live. And here's a close-up. Oh, now I really got to get rid of that, because there's the picture I wanted to show you. And I don't know. Nope, that's not it. It used to be very easy to, let's see, can we do this? No, that's not what I wanted. Bear with me for a minute, because this is just gonna drive me up a wall. Where did I turn this on? Was it banners? Oh, there. Let's see. Let's go to comments. So I hide the, okay, there we go. So here's the picture. So this is the sandbox on the cab car. And you know, if I wish I had it painted so that it looks nicer. So here's where some of the limitations are that might look better if I did it in styrene. So these two pieces that come off of there, which are probably caps to fill the sander, they're much thinner than I have them in scale on the sander that I built. But again, that's because my printer can't print less than, a millimeter, and that's a millimeter in height. If you get an, I don't know, an 020, 030, 040 even sheet of styrene to build those out, they would look better. So, I could certainly print a version of this without these. I can take those off and print a version, and then maybe put the styrene sheet on, and it might look a lot better. But that's a trade-off. So, okay. So that's what I had. So, I wanted to show you them live too. Some of you like live over Memorex. But let me grab what I need to grab for just a second. Let me All right. So what do we see here? So part of this project that or rabbit hole that I got sent down, I was looking for dollhouse miniature trains. And so you actually had to search for dollhouse miniature toys, and a few things came up. Track was kind of hard to come up with. Nothing was really going to be scale, and I think this is one of those things that's going to be out of scale. Here is, by the way, here's the table here as well. But so that's separate. So this was the train. So I found toy train here, and I'm like, well, maybe this will fit. Who knows? Here's the tender and everything. And so putting it on the table, couldn't really tell too much, but it still looked big. Then the search went for track, and I really wasn't finding anything. The track that came with this was like a circle of track, and it wasn't anything in design. So I actually found somebody did an HO scale or version of track, and I actually scaled it down to Z scale. Now, what I found out is this doesn't fit too bad, on here. If I was just gluing this in place, and you have to imagine this with some color, and that could work. When you put the track on here, though, and of course, it looks awfully big for this table, and then I'll have to figure out how to do a curve. So even in Z scale, that's really, really big, but I don't know that I'll get any smaller, so it might have to be out of scale. I can hear the dogs. I don't know if everybody else can. If it's being picked up by my mic, it would have to be picked up by that. But so this is as close as I got. So one of the things I started to do is, just with the basic shape, try to start to make an engine or a car on my own in on shape. So that one's ongoing, to see if I can make something that looks like a car, and then I can scale it up or down. So yeah, and it's hard again, even to show on here. But again, to show it against the table. But from a layout standpoint, on a 4x8 layout, even with, so what I really wanted to do, to be honest, because I wanted to make this kind of Lionel track, I'd actually have to add in a you could call it 2 railroad scale, but if it was Lionel, would have to add a track in the middle. And so I certainly can attempt to do that, just so it looks something like Lionel track, and then paint it a metallic color. And we could do something very basic on here. But I would like to actually scenic this and make it look like there's buildings, and make it look like a scene, so that somebody be interested in it, if it showed up on one of your at one of your shows. So that's where I'm at with that one. That's a tough one. I'm almost out completely of filament, so I've mostly been printing this small stuff right now until I'm out of filament. But that's where I'm at. That's where I've landed. with my time. So, like I said, I've got to get back to that flat car. I've got to finish it up. The paperwork's almost done for that. I've got to get the paperwork started on this one. Um, so, well, thank you. Um, my birthday is coming up. I'm a December baby, December 7th, a couple Saturdays from now. Um, so so I've got to start the paperwork on this one as well. Um, I was looking to see if there were any decoders on sale. I was hoping I could find the Lock Sound 5 FX decoder on sale. It's um, it's not readily available either. The few that were in stock in most places are out of stock. Um, I would want to get it at a place that offers, it's a blank decoder. And so I'd like to get it at a place that offers to load them for you, load the sounds for you, and instead of buying the lock programmer, which even on sale is $150, it's normally about $180. And a place like Lombard Hobby does it in Chicago. Um, they have a major mail order presence. I went there. It was a great to shop there. Great guys that were in there, very helpful. Um, just the right amount of bugging me if I needed help, and let me go behind counters to see stuff up close while they were working on online orders and that sort of thing. And they were answering my questions. And a really neat thing, if you register on their website, and people don't know this, but if you register on their website and have an account with them, and I bought online and they've sent me stuff, and I went into the store and they removed the taxes. So the Chicago area taxes, so whatever the local taxes were, which I'm sure are pretty high, they took those off because I had an online account. So that was a really cool perk of going in the store. And if you're an S scaler, and I don't know if have any S scalers lurking around in the background, they have, I think, a line of their own S scale, and they have quite a bit of S scale stuff in their store. So you can check them out online as well. So yeah, so let me go back to everyone in the chat and everyone watching, and ask the question, and I'll give you my answer, of course, but ask the question, do you actually you thank you, Mom, you would know because you have to um, um, you do business there, and that's pretty high. That's like Minneapolis has a city tax on top of the state tax, and it comes up to about 10% too. But that's a nice savings to have when you go there. But what I'm always looking for, and more now than ever, since I don't buy done models, is I'm always looking for, are there tools or things that I normally wouldn't buy because they're too expensive if they're on sale? I certainly kind of scour the sales. They have a lot going on. We know that Black Friday is barely Black Friday anymore, that most of the deals start a week or two or three in advance. But I'll look for I'm not looking for that engine that's 40% off, that was $300 or $350, or and you get $100 off or something. That's great and all, but that's not where I spend my money now. So again, I'm always on the hunt for deals. So I'll use the holidays for that. That's why I haven't been, it's show season too for model railroading, and I haven't been to a lot of shows. I haven't been to any shows, I think, this season. Or I don't know. Well, maybe I don't remember. I was to one not too long ago, but I don't think it was this season. I think it was last season already. And I was buying stuff like use bags of styrene for cheap, that people are trying to get rid of, and that sort of thing. Um, if I was looking for the last big purchase I made, I think was a few years back. There were these, I wanted a switching engine for my two modules, and I found a Florida East Coast one with DCC, and it was, and the guy was selling two of them for 45, and I had spent a bunch of other money there at that show, and I didn't have enough for both of them. Um, but I took that one home. It ran for the most part, and then you had to deal with my own track work, has its own problems. And then I um, worked on it and got it running really nicely, and it runs really nicely now. And that was like $45. So that trip, I think I spent $90, and that was a big spend for me for a while. So, um, but I'm curious to what everybody else does. Do you look for deals? Do you wait till this time to look for that engine that you want, or that, $150 Walters building that you want, or do you hunt for specific things? Do you stay out of it? So, sure it is. Uh, all your track work, I think you soldered one thing, didn't you? Um, but that's probably flawless, and probably the track work around it. My work was probably not. Um, but do you, you know, or do you stay away and don't even shop online, and stay away from all of it, and just, go at your own pace? So, Split Rock, that's the other thing about the shows too. I figure in, it's not much it shows, although a show or two now are going up in price that I've seen. But if it's 5, 6, 7, 8, $10 um, for show entrance, I consider that like shipping. So if I go to the show and I buy something, you know, I figure that in the same way as you are, and when you're researching for the best price and shipping. And do you have a favorite retailer that you go through now that has the prices? So yeah, Randy, and um, you also um, you take your tools everywhere, and you sit down and you work on your cars and everything. So I certainly see that for sure. So yeah, Split Rock, I have, um um I do too. One of the ones I used to love was MB Klein's, before the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, they got so far behind and figuring out their staffing and being able to hit their orders and everything. It was tough from there, and they had competitive prices. I liked their prices for the most part. Then I found Yankee Dabbler. Yankee Dabbler, for the things I buy, oftentimes um, has had much better, not much better, but better prices than other places. I actually went into their store, I think twice now, and very different from Lombard Hobby, another one that I like, obviously, and but very different vibe in that store and everything. So I don't love it, but the prices are good, and shipping's competitive with other shipping and stuff like that. So yep, that's the other thing I do is, you know, uh, all of all of these guys who have a following on YouTube, and kind of make it a little bit of a business and everything. and they get something for that it's an advertising deal for them, and and they get something for out of it as well. um, so I use their discounts when I'm shopping, and I just recently was looking at Iron Planet Hobbies for a couple things as well. um, and um, I forget, there was somebody who I used I used their discount for several years, and it sort of dropped off. Like, I didn't they didn't have the same deal. Um, yeah, Iron Planet Hobbies does have some good prices. I don't think Yankee Dabbler is necessarily the lowest, and it also depends on what you buy. Um, so, Brad, are there mail order companies in New Zealand, or are you having to go to the UK, or are you having to go to the US? What's your shipping charges like? Yeah, Split Rock, was talking about locally. What was the name of that store in St. Paul for paint and airbrushes you were talking about, I think? So yeah, so you're that's the parts deal. And um I real I bought a box of, I think when they had the boxes of 100 wheel sets, I bought those and I still have tons left. Wet paint. That's what I thought it was called. And I went to look at their stuff, and um, they're. I think I was looking to see if they had Vallejo stuff, and I don't think they did. But um, they're like they have a local vibe, but they have a ton of art supply stuff there. So not just the painting stuff. So I'll have to take another look there as well. Um, yeah, Brad. Also, um, is there? Well, first of all, maybe you could give us a lesson on railroading in New Zealand. Is there a market even for New Zealand railroads? Do people model it down there, or are they modeling like U.S. and British railroads, or Indian railroads, or So I'm I'm curious now. If you haven't been to his store, he got a bigger space. When he's coming in, when it's show season, though, he's got a lot of stuff that he files through, and he mentioned to me that most of the time between shows, he doesn't even have a chance to kind of unwrap everything and put everything up. But his shelves are filled with stuff, tons of stuff. Um, so I'm curious to see what he's selling all the stuff I sold him. Um, but thanks to him, I've moved on now, and I'm finding pieces of N scale stuff. So I've got to get together a collection of what I find popping out of drawers and floors and things like that. Put that together, and maybe get a full railroad out of that. So yeah, I was looking online at wet paint, so I hadn't gotten over there. So yeah, Split Rock, what I found is the people that discount anything, it's a really standard discount, just like at hobby stores. It's usually 30% um, off of what the MSRP is for stuff. So it's not really back in the day, whatever back in the day means. A long time ago, in a different economy, people had show specials and they would drop prices on things. but most of the vendors that do the shows in the Twin Cities, and there's like 3 or 4 of them that are the main ones, they all they're all kind of retail price. You really aren't getting discounts. Um, like you said, go for the used stuff. Go find the cheap stuff that you can really beat up and work on and practice on. Find the open bags of styrene that you can use um, at the shows, and once in a while, you find a deal on an engine or something like that, and you spend a few extra dollars to get it. I think total for that engine to get it up to full working order was a total of $75 with the $45 purchase. So it was still worth it. So S scale is everywhere. It's scary. Uh, Other people. Well, I'm still kind of that lone modeler split rock, so I haven't done the trade type of thing. Plus, I don't think I have any discernible skills that I could trade for their skills. Like I would love for Joe Binish to paint my stuff. Way better than me, but I've got nothing to trade him on it. I wouldn't dare want to do anything for him. And you can see you know, he's a decal guy. He does those just fine. So I can't really decal anything for him unless he really wants some messed up decals. I can do that. Uh, but that might be an interesting discussion for one of our division meetings, is somehow connecting people with others' skills. Um, uh, that's a good. Um, oh, so uh, yeah, so a want list for Springfield. Well, I want to go to Springfield. Can you make that happen? So I was kind of talking about potentially doing that, um, but that's coming up quick in January. Uh, and it's another one of those things. I can definitely send you a list. It's mostly going to be, can you find any more decals so that I can screw up more decals? Because I'm gonna need to collect them where I can, and they're rare. So yeah, yep. So and yeah, I have to find a way. Speaking of trade, I have to find a way to get this split rock rolling stock onto the northeast quarter. Got to figure out a way to do that. So, I was thinking about doing custom decals. Um, because they're not exact. Um, they're if I was going to get called out on it, I could get called out on it because they're not exact. Let's see if I can where I put them. So, um, with some, the striping is slightly different, things like that. The numbers, if I was going to have the correct number, these numbers are going to be slightly off. Um, but I think I've bought up all of the area ones. And then um, for Um, for the locomotives, again, not necessarily exact. So, I could get them custom done, for sure. And I've been thinking about that. So I'll probably at some point be asking about that. Yeah, but Gopher Girl won't pay for a return ticket. So, or she won't pay for the luggage, to stow the luggage either. So, um, if I go, I may not be able to get back. So I'm trying to think of what else um, if there's anything else that I've in recent holidays. I can't remember if there's anything I really bought, but again, I'm one of those now from doing a scratch build project. I have like all the styrene in the world. I have too much styrene. Uh, let's see here. Anything else? No, and so um, I'm going to continue to see what I can do, um, in the styrene, um, in the printing world, um, to see, looking at this, there are pieces on here that I mean, to me, this piece came out so ugly. I really want to replace this thing. It just looks like the whole thing melted essentially, and it's all wonky. So that's something I'll want to try and design. Um, and but this is having successes like this is kind of addictive because now I want to try other things and keep doing other things. And what's really nice is getting to understand the limitations of what you can do, which is that's not to say that there isn't maybe a printer out there that can do so fine of a detail that it can get under a millimeter, but what the equipment I have can't. So, so let's see. So, um, one of the things that I grabbed some. I have an inkjet printer. I grabbed some inkjet decal paper um, from Scale Models Supply, and I worked with it. It worked fine. You know, I might not be have the keen eye to see how different it looks. I haven't done it was clear paper. I haven't done it with the white backing or the white paper uh, yet, but then you can print whatever you want, and so if you have a really nice high resolution picture or something, or if you can design it, the look of it, and then design the decal yourself. Um, that can be very useful for printing, and they have laser paper and they have inkjet paper for that. Um, I've been looking for buildings, and so that depot, I part of that was, can I build something in Onshape, and that was the piece there. It wasn't specific to this. I do. Um, I do someday want to try and build something out, from the prototype, and I'm trying to find pictures specifically of a building that was, if you go underneath the tracks from the train station and it's uphill in New Brunswick, and on the left side as you're walking uphill, when I was, at the time, it was a not a Virgin, I'm sorry, a Tower Records store. I've been looking for pictures of Tower Records from there at that location, and I would like to build something like that. Uh, there are some the print bed is going to be my limitation on how much I could print, but I could break it up maybe and do layers, like stories, and build up building like that. I'm not even yet the actual New Brunswick station was intimidating enough to build uh um to build in styrene, and I've got to get myself back on that. Um, the But it would be interesting to see if I could pull that off in Onshape and build that out. Um, Certainly, you can build um, buildings like that are a couple stories with the printer size that I have. So Split Rock, who is that? Who did your logos and your decals? And I remember the rows and rows of tapes that had these gigantic white plastic things holding the tapes up, and I don't know if that was their security or whatever, but they were like a foot long, and these little um, tapes in them, and I remember just seeing rows and rows of them there, and um, so, but to get the era, that would be something I would want to build, is that Tower Records behind. So I'll have to check them out too. Do we get a discount um if we mention you? The and speaking of Lego, speaking of Lego train sets, years ago I wanted to get her there's a pack of tracks for like 1999. Um and I want to get her that. And I kept saying, well, Lego's pretty big. We don't have room for a layout of track and stuff. And then she started to get into wanting to do like a Lego city build. And then now she wants to do a Christmas um, a Christmas setup with all of their Christmas stuff. And we were looking to see what we could print um, for base plates to get started on that and stuff. And I said, we're going to learn how to do, or I'm going to teach her how to do some actual scenery to go with the Lego build. I don't know how good it would look, but I wanted to teach her how to do a little mountain that she could put a Lego building on and that sort of thing. So she certainly wants to do it, and going to see more and more layouts. We were talking to somebody from the group that used to be at Bandana Square, who now moved buildings. He was saying they have Lego layout there too. We haven't been yet, but she's definitely interested, and maybe if call it adjacent to the hobby. If I could get her involved in that, it'd probably just cost more money, but still, I think it's fun to have trains everywhere. But yeah. So, what else is everybody working on in the background, as some of you do? Oh, you did actually buy the Lego track. I can't tell. It's all in this big pile that's become a big wall. It's like 6 foot tall. It's as tall as me. And trying to get her to get through some of that stuff so that I can play with my trains again where she put all her Legos now, which was unfortunately my suggestion. So, you know, I get what I pay for, as they say. Yep. And I've been following along online with that. Who are you giving the clinic to for the tree making? And are you doing the a fun one, like using a drill or to spin your tree, or are you doing the what's the one, the super trees? There's plenty of shelf space. You just got to get the shelves to put them on the wall. Oh, neat, 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 neat. But I'd like to see that. And I didn't know that TikTok had any kind of long form stuff. But I'm on TikTok, but I don't really pay attention to it. I've only got so many eyes for all the social media stuff. But I thought they were all short form there. How is the resin kit, Tim? Have you done resin kits before? Do you find anything specifically helpful to them? Anything that any problems you run into? I've always been kind of afraid to work with a resin kit, and maybe it's just my lack of um, understanding of them. The Luke Talon try. I don't know if I remember the Luke Talon pine tree method. He's done so many videos. So Randy, when you say you're weathering your rail box cars, do you like just throw some powders on it and you're done because it's so small? Or um, the first time the when NMRAX came out, and the Mudfather, Ralph Renzetti, was on, and he did a clinic, and they were going to judge or review pictures of that. I did my first ever weathering attempt on an N scale boxcar, um, and and Ralph called it out right away. It was like the first one that they looked at, and he called it out right away. He said he I probably didn't even want to say it, but he was like, basically, well, that's a nice try. He said, you know, you have to do more, because I only had like a layer of stuff that I put on it. Acrylic washes and dry brush. What color? So the rail box cars, those are yellow, right? If that's the case, what color acrylic washes do you use, and what color dry brushing do you use? Your first build. Oh, cool. Um, so our local hobby shop has a few of those uh, Funaro and Camerlingo um, kits as well. And they had a little section, I think, of some other resin kits too. And I've looked at them, and I don't know, something. I don't know if it's just more work because of the resin and working with that, and maybe it was like the downtown deco building. You're cleaning them up a lot, and if you break one of those, they break easily, so you have to be very careful with them with their that sort of thing. So um, I think that's probably what stopped me from trying one of those. But they sit there on the shelf, so I'm sure at any point I could go in there and be able to pick one up. They have a lot of stuff that doesn't move in their store, uh, and gets a lot of shelf time. Well, all right. So we've been at it for about an hour and 15 minutes. I've had a pretty long day. I had to work an extra couple hours because my staff was short, and so I had to um, jump in and help out. And so I'm kind of tired, and it's still a date night. I still have 2 periods of a hockey game to watch, and so I'm going to go do that and finish my dinner. And I'm going to say to everybody to have a great weekend, and remember to just jump in and, try something. You might like it. So I'm going to say, have a good night, all.